Good afternoon. Friday, December 17th, 2021, here in Sarasota, Florida, about 2:44 p.m. All right, going to come to you here with episode 5. Today's title, More of the Same or Truly Different? Now, per normal for this series, this is video 5 of 28 in a series called Giving Myself a Voice. The link to the video most previous is in the description below, and tomorrow I will add the link to the video that will follow this one. Now, yesterday's abruptly ended. I cut it off. It was way too long, and I'm trying to get shorter with these. And I thought I was going to pick up where I left off, but after meditation today and my run and my walk, it didn't feel right to yet return to how I ended or what I was beginning to get into at the end of yesterday's video. I felt compelled to share a couple of things. Again, I'm making this up as I go. I'm following a higher calling, knowing I need to do this and execute it in this way, first and foremost for myself. If it happens to benefit anybody else, that's fantastic, okay? But this is more than anything for me. Now, this is way more than about masculine and feminine. Now, is that one of the wounds that was most opened up at a general level within me? Absolutely, clearly. And as I said in video 1, you're going to get a mix of wounded child, wounded woman, but also you're going to get divine feminine, empowered divine goddess energy as well, without a doubt. And giving myself the permission to outwardly say, I am all of that in this moment coming to you. And what you take or don't take from this is also a reflection and a mirror to you and where you're at. I know, trust me, that this is not comfortable. But here's what I think. If we're going to get to the divine feminine and divine masculine energy, we've got a lot of healing and work to do within the world of ego. And you can't heal unless we're really being honest about what the situation is in its complexity and in its completeness. And this isn't just about this isn't man bashing at all. It's not intended to man bash, because guess what, ladies? For every man that's out there taking advantage, there's a woman agreeing and allowing him to do so. Okay, so this is not, although I know it's going to look, it's going to feel, it's going to appear like that. And all I can do is tell you that it's way more than what it is on the surface in any one video. I'm not going to be able to capture all of this in one video. If you're one of the few that watches all 28, I can't even guarantee that you'll fully comprehend and understand why I'm doing this after you watch all 28. All I can do is continue to come to you in a real and authentic and open manner and just be honest. This is my experience based on, in this case, I've been spiritually awake for 11 years and therefore operating at unprecedented levels of awareness and understanding as compared to my younger days when all those wounds took place. And what I have found is that the awareness and the understanding is just one piece. It's a big piece. It's a necessary piece, but it's the breaking of the habits. It's the breaking of the momentum that is unbelievably challenging. And my take is we just don't have enough voices out there being real, authentic, where it's a two-way street, where we're allowed to communicate as equals with valid experiences and not make it where if you're the little guy, you somehow are at a massive disadvantage. I'm going to have a story here to show one, yet another, while I will argue there is a big component of little guy versus big guy in this experience, in this story, and a big elephant in the room of what and how what we need to heal from, and how in the hell are we going to work our way away from these false hierarchies, okay, without forcing everyone to live in that way. There are plenty of people who are working, have been working in the background much more quietly, that have important and tremendous value and in a lot of cases, desire to contribute more, but they're not able to battle in this playground because this is not a balanced playground of energy, and it does lean heavily towards masculine energy. Now, I happen to have, if it's not clear, quite a bit of masculine energy running through me. What I've been dying for over a decade is a real opportunity to allow my feminine to shine and to soar and to serve in the way I want to do so. And it's unbelievable to me that I still haven't been able to find, attract, draw in, co-create one of those opportunities. It's unbelievable because of what I'm going to share with you today. Now, first, I want to share a story. So there was one other time very recently that I went through a similar type of experience as it pertains to dealing with powerful spiritual people, and I'm the little guy. In this case, it was a couple, and I love that this example came to me, or this story came to me to use and reference today, because it helps point out this is way more than about masculine and feminine and male and female. This is also, and perhaps more so, about the abuse of and the manipulation of spirituality. So I had followed this couple for 9 years, from 2010 to 2019. It was one of their books. That was one of the first ones I read right at the precipice of what I call my point of no return in my spiritual awakening that took place on November 18th, 2010. So I bought lots of their books. I bought a couple, 3 of their online classes. I tuned into their radio show every week. Then they started having multiple radio shows. I supported these people and gave them a ton of attention and energy. They lived in off the grid, sort of their own sort of communities, their own community, off the grid in various places in South America. When I first learned of them, they were in Guatemala. Then for a short stint, they went to Uruguay, and then they ended up in Ecuador. Finally, after all these years, I decided to take my first real vacation since launching my company of me. This was at the end of 2019, and to go to their spiritual retreat and to see them in person and see, and just, get fueled up spiritually. Not an easy decision for me because I still don't spend money on myself easily, right? And this was a big trip. Not only that, I had a grueling travel year with Ironman, and one more trip, was not really something I wanted to do in terms of the travel, but I really wanted to go to a spiritual retreat and see these people that I had followed for so long. Long story short, I go to the airport to check into my flight 90 minutes early, and lo and behold, the nice Delta lady tells me, "I am so sorry, but you can't go. Ecuador is one of the places where your passport needs to have 6 months on it remaining before it expires, and yours only has 5. I couldn't believe it. I was a mess for 45 minutes in the airport. I had checked with their administrator multiple times. Am I set with visa and passport? I'm not a seasoned traveler internationally. My last international trip had been 9.5 years previous. That's why my passport only had 5 months left on it, because I had gotten my passport right before that trip to Japan. How would I have even known to ask this? I did my due diligence. There's no doubt about it. And they took all my money. And they said, spiritual lesson to learn. These things happen. This must have, no coincidence, all this new age fluff bullshit. What? Why is it my spiritual lesson to learn? And by extension, couldn't I say the same thing? That it's your spiritual lesson to learn? Listen, I can appreciate that you guys have never dealt with this and that you didn't know this was. Now, I would have to say that I think the onus is on you, since people are coming to your country and you're aiding them in their travel plans. Seems to me, if there was someone at fault, it would be more you than me, but let's just call it square and give me half my money back. No. Spiritual lesson. And why? What leg do I have to stand on? They have my money. They're the famous, big named spiritual, and they're like more, you know, clearly from websites and radio shows and things, clearly they're more spiritual than me, right? They're more deserving of my money doing for like, what? Seriously? I burned their books, haven't turned back. As part of my processing of that, I did a 4-series episode on my website, four episode series on my YouTube channel back in early 2020. I did not choose to use their names. I did not reveal their identity because I didn't make this decision to go and use this as openly as I am lightly. But last time, I didn't use the identity, thinking that was the more enlightened, better thing to do. But you know what the fact is? Every single situation is unique. There is no one right way for everybody. And what might be right in one situation might not be right for a very similar looking situation at another time. The world is in a very different place now. There are a lot of people that are waking up. If somebody, as soon as somebody, listen, I am all for however you want to live your life, but just be in alignment and stand tall in the choices that you're making. And if you're doing something that you don't want somebody else to see, and if somebody sees it and points it out, you know, I got to call bullshit on that. And in this case, in these tricky times, as we shift in to a more spiritually evolved world, we have to work through a lot of muck. And to go from this existence in current world to a completely different reality based in abundance, love, and thriving, as opposed to lack, fear, and barely surviving, to a world based in equal divine masculine and divine feminine, from a heavily dominated masculine world to a world more of spirit and immaterial as opposed to material. Now, I don't think we're going to pop into light, all of us. I think we're still going to be in a material world, but it's going to be more consciously co-created with the connection to spirit and allowing more spirit to be coming through and more of the greater truth of oneness to be coming through. Now, listen, it's just like the scenario in the world right now. There ain't much in between, right? You're either seeing the bigger picture or you're not. You're either wearing a mask or you're not. You're either getting the jab or you're not. There is not a whole lot in between. You can't claim you're here, but still be playing here. That's what a leap of faith is. That's what believing in spirit is. That's what it is. And I had to go through and continue to go through this. And there are more details that are going to be revealed that will, it will do whatever it's going to do. I'm going to continue to proceed. But I'm just saying that there's no doubt that I'm going to keep going with this, as uncomfortable as it is for me too, because we're not being real. We're not being real. And how someone may say, how do you know, Alyson, that they're claiming to be this, but it's the same old, same old? How do you know it's not different? Well, I have my own guidepost that is not small, that has been guiding me for almost 9 years. I'm going to show you two things. This is, you can see the date. See that? 9/28/13. Do you see where it says total debt? You see all the, is that clear? I can't tell if that's clear. I don't know how that's coming out, but those are all credit cards. And those were this is how I funded my vision. I went all in on me. I am not a victim. I'm not playing victim, even though it could be received as such. I went all in on not just criticizing this present paradigm, but really trying to be the change and literally putting my money where my mouth was. I mean, it was my credit, so it really wasn't money, but it was still me. This was me. This was my risk. This wasn't a bank. This wasn't anybody else's money. This was my risk, investing in my vision and vowing from day one to be undeniably different, even though it was still a business, because that's what it's using the tools of the 3D, but I was bound and determined to use as little as possible in the 3D, to keep my business model as simple and loose as possible, because I was operating it from here, but I had to bring this down to this 3D structure. But in order to keep it from moment one at its foundation different, truly different, I started my company with $50,000 pay it forward investment in others. And the remaining money was used because I didn't work for a year. So I was funding myself and every day working 18 to 18-hour days every day for a year. And I used 0% credit and I had a plan. Now, things went horribly sideways really fast because I was eager. I was young in my awakening. I was naive. I was too trusting. I was not able to communicate ahead of time. I was so silly that I thought the people in whom I was investing, I thought we were kind of almost on like this telepathic same wavelength, because I'm wired as a team player. I don't like playing by myself. I'm a team player. And at that time, I wasn't yet I didn't know exactly what I was going to do per se with my little company, but I knew I had finances and the thought was investing in a team. And I'll share in another video, perhaps in this series, more of those details. But the point is, I put my money where my mouth was, and it was a real leap of faith. And it was really doing shit differently. You don't fucking fake that. You don't fake that. My family thought I lost my mind. My dad wanted me committed. And the thing was, I had never been more certain of my role and of anything in my life. I was ill prepared for how crazy everyone else thought I was, but this has set the tone. I turned my life over to spirit when I did this, because it did go south. I absolutely, positively had zero money earned 12 months into it when it began to become due. And now I had the very real journey of addressing, the total was $96,480 was what I peaked out at, $96,480 in debt after never having debt. Do I know what different is? Yes. And I'm going to conclude this with something else from that year. December 19th, 2013. This is a copy of a letter I had to write to Nationwide Debt Client, something, because I had to consolidate the debt to pay it off. I mean, I handled it in a number of ways. And again, I think it's an extremely valuable, unbelievably valuable story this is. But I had to write a letter as being part of this third company, right? So this is the letter. I know no one ever read this letter, but this is what I wrote on December 19th, 2013. Dear sir or madam, I am writing to inform you of my financial situation at present. I want to explain my situation with 100% honesty and transparency, as my intention was never, ever to be in the present scenario in which I find myself, i.e., unable to keep up with all the payments to my various credit card accounts. 1 year ago, I launched a brand new visionary company with a business plan unlike any other. As such, I knew it was going to be extremely unlikely that I would receive financing via any of the normal manners without having to drastically water down my vision. Consequently, I was left with what I perceived to be no choice but to use all of the available resources I had of my own. In this case, it was my exceptional credit standing. I began my company consciously with substantial pay-it-forward investments in others who I believed were the most likely to be able to then pay it forward with their work. I purposely utilized only 0% credit card offers and spaced the investments out in order to give myself 6 to 12 months to earn the money with which to pay off said debt. While I certainly knew it was going to be challenging to do, I absolutely believed that in my very, very large network of family and friends, I would find others willing to pay it forward to me once they saw what it was I was trying to begin in terms of a very different business/investment momentum. Needless to say, I drastically underestimated the power of people's beliefs as it pertains to money and investment. Hence, my situation today. If you examine my history, you will see that I maintained every single minimum payment for over 10 different accounts for the first 10 months. It was only in the month of October when I began to use my non-0% credit, and in late November when I had to miss my first payments. I hope this goes to show that, again, my intention was never to be in the predicament of not being able to pay back the debt in a timely fashion. I am working with Nationwide Debt Direct primarily because of the time extension it provides me to pay back each credit card company. I very, very much want and intend to pay every single penny back as my gratitude and appreciation for what the credit cards have enabled me to do goes beyond words. After 14 months of working to write the better part of 3 books, to build 2 websites, a YouTube channel, and a foundation of work that impresses even myself, I am finally beginning to earn money with various arms of my company. I am likely months away from a steady flow of income, but I am managing now through regular full-time employment taken on as of October, small investments from others, and the beginning of my company's earnings to keep everything afloat. Any and all understanding you are able to extend to me and my situation will be appreciated more than I can express. I've honestly had dreams of working to change the world for 30 years, and I believe I am quite literally on the precipice of making these dreams come true, due in no small part to the opportunities afforded to me via each credit card company. Thank you for your financing that has allowed me to get this far. Thank you also for any and all of your consideration of my situation. Sincerely, Alyson, Noune. I know what different is. I've been doing different for 9 years. Therefore, I know when somebody claims different and then goes back and plays the same old, I know very well what that feels like. I am on the other side of this scenario in ways that it would only happen that I am where I am present day with divine guiding me. This is God's plan. This is creation's plan. This is so much bigger than any of us. But we still have to execute that through our personalities, through these egos. And it's tricky to know who's being guided by the character, by the ego, and who's truly being guided by spirit. Now, I will say again, once you experience certain things, you get the discernment and you know. Now, whether or not you choose to, because trust me, staying honest and true to yourself, staying honest and true and not settling for any bullshit is why I only have 120 something subscribers. It's why it's been 9 years and I'm still not yet even close to, paying my bills with my dream way of contributing out in the society. But I wouldn't trade that for the world because it's real. What I've done is real. And to think that there's no value in sharing this isn't just words. I'm on the other side in huge ways of $96,000 of debt taken on a leap of faith. I know what different is. Therefore, I also know when it's the same old, same old. This plays into, in no small way, why I ended up having the little bit of expectation that I did have when I joined that course. You better believe I had an expectation. I wasn't fully conscious of it. It's only through now the processing and going through all this that this is just crystal clear to me. It all makes sense. So I'll proceed, even though it's uncomfortable, even though I know it's triggering. I know it's triggering, and I know it's uncomfortable. But it has to be done. So, if not now, when? If not me, who? I don't have a family that I have to worry about. I didn't have a career that I had to leave. I had nothing to lose. And I personally believed that my soul chose this as my role, to take on something this big. Nobody asked me to. Of course not. Not directly. But the collective is begging for change. We all say we want change. But guess what, folks? It was the credit card companies that gave me a shot. Not the humans in my life who knew me, which is another huge part of that story that I will get to. We have to be the change. We are the ones we've been waiting for. It comes with our choices. And every day we're engaged in agreements and we're making choices. And it is happening on lots of unseen levels and in the physical. And as soon as there's no two-way street of equality in communication at a foundation, I call bullshit. You cannot claim to be of the higher dimensions if communication is not allowed to be two-way. No way. Somehow, some way, yeah, I figure out how to communicate with people. You know, if you get that big and that busy and you're not able, check yourself is what I would say. Check yourself. And then when somebody tries to communicate and share something that is contrary to your opinion and you squash them, kick them out of the course, not me, somebody else was kicked out of the course. When there's no room for constructive criticism whatsoever, when you're told it's my way or the highway, I didn't tell you to do it that way. I told you to do it. This is the way to do it. None of that is none of that. And I did not sign up for that. I was drawn because I thought I was engaging with somebody who was going to be able and willing to treat me in a small environment where I was a paying customer with respect, not with my way or the highway. Because my way or the highway and squashing any dissenting opinion or experience, that's same old, same old. So we will proceed. Till tomorrow, folks. Buckle up. Or not. See you later.